So we did an experiment and came back to a conclusion that this country doesn't consume more than 45 million liters a day. And that was the first attempt at subsidy. And then we came to the second point and said, look, we're not even going to have subsidy again. We're going to exit it because there was just so much fraud involved in it. So we got out. And from January to March, if you look at our books, there were no subsidies. The price modulation helped us to achieve that. But of course, in April, once the bleeding started, price of oil went forward. We couldn't find the foreign exchange that we needed. Subsidy came right back. Luckily, for the first time, because of extremely good management of the first 3 months of no subsidy, we had some over-recovery, and we were able to cover the subsidy in April. And so that helped. But as you continue, if you do not take the steps that we've taken, massive subsidies will continue. So the reality is, the foreign exchange we're looking for is not even there. It's not an issue of somebody not giving us foreign exchange. Is that the capacity of the country to find and hold and have available foreign exchange has substantially diminished. And a lot of work is ongoing to try and see how we can recover that, whether it's recovering our pipelines, whether it is finding solates and peas so that we can continue to produce, whether it's exiting cash call, which we are working on very seriously. We're doing a whole lot of work in trying to bundle up foreign exchange. But now we don't have it. And so you don't give what you don't have. And so left to that option, what were we supposed to do? We've struggled. Queues continue to go and they are back. And it will continue to happen unless we address the issues. As a motive as it is, and we do share the sympathies and pain, but as a responsible government, we've got to take decisions to try and solve problems. So that's the reality. And we've come to see, as you look at other products, that if you free up Nigerians to find sources of funds, they will find those secondary funds, they will import the products, the burden on NNPC will reduce, and the country will have peace, and subsidies will go away permanently. And the extra earnings that NNPC will make through that facility will be poured into refineries and trying to repair the infrastructures that are completely decayed in the system.
I think it's really amazing. For the first time, we're getting to hear a categorical word from the NNPC saying that subsidy was truly taken off, or deregulation was, thrown at us before it was reintroduced. But if you look at it now, people are asking about looking at the ripple effect, the inflationary, move that this would definitely cause. So, are there palliatives for the short, medium, and even maybe long term in all of this for Nigerians? If you say you feel the pains of Nigerians. We're asking about the palliatives in place for Nigerians, so something to cushion the effect of this sudden removal.
First, let me say that we had this debate about palliatives, and I think the thing we do wrong sometimes is that when we initiate these policies, because we're trying so hard to sell what ordinarily would have been right, we begin to throw palliatives that most times governments don't even deliver on. And so much as what I've advised on this is, first of all, how did we come to the price of 145? It's a simple conversion of using foreign exchange at 285. That 285 is from nowhere. It's basically the secondary source that people buy products from, buy FX from, versus the 320, which is black market. If you convert it and throw it in, you get about 141, 142, or 143. And so there isn't much of palliative elements left there for you to use. It's simply go out, find your product, your cost is covered, there's an opportunity if you're efficient to make money, come and deliver. For NNPC, there obviously will be some earnings over and above, because NNPC could have sold less than this. Now, those monies will be available. Again, the government will decide whether they want to put into infrastructure. I think the first call will be infrastructure. Your refineries are not working, your depots are not working, your pipelines are a challenge. But government has provided palliatives in the budget. There are lots of items in the 2016 budget that address palliatives, irrespective of a linkage to the petrol pricing. In other words, it is not the lifting of petroleum pricing that should be the basis in which government provides a palliative. Government has a responsibility to provide social palliatives in an ordinary course of running the day-to-day administration of a government. And they're doing that. And if you look at 2016 budget, there are loads and loads of such palliatives. Now, this is still early days. So as we begin to look at whatever the differential earnings is for NNPC in terms of where they put it, infrastructure and the rest, versus payment to government. Now, let me also make one point here. Lots of state governments have been unable to pay salaries. In fact, the average state government is owing about 3 to 4 months of salaries because as income drops at the federal level, it impacts on state reception at FAC. If you look at, even for the 8 months that we've been there, and it was worse before we came in, on the average, for every month, we started with probably a 30% differential in the FAC allocations that came from us in terms of our earnings. In other words, if a state was supposed to, or if FAC was supposed to earn 100 million, we probably ended up paying only 70 for very many reasons: losses, subsidy, pipeline issues, trade losses, because all those had to be passed back. Over time, in the last 2 months, we've gotten it to about a 96% performance level, so we'll become much better at it. What this will do, for example, is that at least for the 5,000 barrels allocation, which we use for refine, you will have 100% payment to FAC, so that governors can get what is due them, at least in terms of that portion of the budget. So again, when we talk palliatives, the first palliative I think that is essential is that governors get their money in full so they can pay salaries. That's point one. Then two, obviously, is that a company like NNPC who wants to invest is going to get very competitive, and you see that NNPC probably will progressively get driven out of some chains of the business if they refuse to become as efficient as they should be, because it's open competition. Today, for example, if you take diesel, what is NNPC's foreplay in diesel? Barely less than 10%. It's been taken over by the entire private market, and it's only when our refineries work that we do AGO business. That's largely also due to the fact that we're putting so much energy in making sure PMS is available in the country. As we open up this, so this same stiff competition will come, and the individuals who get better at it in supplying products at cheaper rates will get the field of the day, and that is the whole essence of competition. So unless our infrastructures work, most of our infrastructures right now don't work. You saw us advertise the depots and the pipelines and refinery proposals of investment into those entities. Most of them don't work. It is taking a huge amount of work over the last 4 or 5 months to get our 3 refineries to produce for the first time collectively at the same time. But even that production is less than 50% capacity. You see the capacity upgrade. So there's so much work to be done. There's so much money required, money that is not available. Some of this will free up that money for us to do some of that work. Some of it will get some loans to support it. But then at the end of the day, we'll then be able to determine what is really left for the palliatives. So I'd rather look at palliatives from a federal budget point of view, rather than trying to help sell this,
Dr. Kachikwu, what will happen to the crude oil that NNPC usually uses for its for our refining, and then the swap deals? What will become of them?
First, in terms of the 445,000 barrels that are allocated to us, today some elements of that I would think about cumulatively to count about 14 cargoes, and about 4 or 5 of those cargoes go to the refineries, which are now producing. In the past, when refineries weren't producing, you sold that and put money into federation account. Today it's going to refineries. We would like to see a concerted effort at keeping the refineries working, not because they're the most efficient yet, and not because a typical businessman would, quite frankly, put crude into the refineries the way they are today, but because they're very helpful in terms of strategic reserve and in terms of distribution. Kaduna can distribute through the north, Warri can distribute through the east, again, Port Harcourt can distribute through the east, and Warri can distribute heading towards the west, rather than the massive 1,500 trucks of movement that you see every day. So you take away 5, you have about 9. From inherited obligations, about 2 of those cargoes are committed to paying past obligations that were not met before we came. So you're left with the rest, which was thrown into what we call the DSDP, Direct Sale, Direct Purchase Program. Now, in the interim, what will happen is that Direct Sale, Direct Purchase Program will bring in more cargo than the typical NNPC, roughly about 200 to 300 stations, affiliates and direct will require. The rest of that will be sold back into the system to ensure fluidity so that you get extra earnings from those sold typically at the current market rates. Those are some of the bundles of money you're going to see to be able to get into investments. So that's going to continue, because you had a 1-year program. Remember, you can't stop it in the middle. There's a 1-year contractual program, so that program will continue. But what that guarantees you, because people have asked me, what's your guarantee that these marketers will bring products? Well, we've taken guarantees on those. We ensure that our DSDP program will continue to provide product. I think our calculation, for example, we're doing about 25 to 26 cargoes out of the monthly requirement in terms of fuel consumption, imported fuel consumption of about 33 to 34 cargoes. So we'll say about 70% of that will still continue to come. However, probably only about 20 or 30% of that portion will be required by NNPC in its own actual filling stations, and the rest will sold out into the market, so that those Nigerians who can't even find foreign exchange can buy on a Naira bulk basis and begin to distribute. So that's what's going to happen with that. Now, at the completion of the DSDP program in 1 year, we'll see how the market has performed. Frankly, I will expect that by the end of, by sometime March of next year, when their program ends, the first year of DSDP, that the private sector would have risen so much to the challenge that like they did in AGO, like they're doing in kerosene now, that there will be no need for me to do another DSDP or what you call quote-unquote swap program, as the case may be. But that crude can actually be put either in the refinery if our capacity is getting better, or sent back as pure crude sales and money sent back to FAC. Because at the end of the day, the issue is how do you capture the value chain for the federal government. Now, in terms of, I think you asked the second question, sorry, I lose that, if you could remind me.
I think what we will do is, if you wouldn't mind, because I reckon there's a lot more explanation that you like to give on this, and many Nigerians also want to hear you more. So if we could reschedule so that you could return and give a lot more explanation about this current new price regime. That's if that's okay by you.
No, absolutely. Any opportunity to talk to Nigerians about this, and it's unfortunate that the technical system is not working as well as it should, and perhaps we'll do this in Lagos, where more can be more live on the studio. But let me end by saying that, and appealing to Nigerians to please, for the first time, realize that we are doing our very best. I have, together with everybody who is in this government, worked night and day looking for solutions. This hasn't been one of those governments that you came in and earnings were so superfluous, huge earnings, and things were working. We've come in literally to problems. We came in with refineries not working, pipelines not working, subsidies unpaid, fuel scarcity all over the place. We've been working day to day, and I think that as Nigerians see me struggling from one refinery to one depot or the other, they will see quite frankly, I hope that they will see the honesty that one approaches this job with. It's for the first time, it's try and get the job done. Try and address the needs of Nigerians. Don't lie to them. Don't pretend. Don't embellish it. So as difficult as some of these sale programs will be, our duty is to ensure that at the end of the day we deliver value. And we mean well. And Nigerians should please trust us. Give us a chance. You'll be surprised what will become of your PMS pricing over the next 6 to 8 months. Thank you very much.